friends, MD Vegan. Yeah, it's a it's a yellow bell pepper soup today. The other day I made a red bell pepper soup, again after I did that years ago. What a very easy recipe. Yeah. And I thought, well, that is so delicious and a new easy form. Why not try with yellow? Yellow is a different one. Yeah, there are yellow, green and red bell peppers, basically. And the yellows, they are light, the lightest of them. The red one is sweet, basically, a little bit bitter. The green one is more bitter and green. And the yellow one is the lightest one. It is really a little bit sour, sweetish. A little bit like a lemon, but not that sour. Yeah. They all have some sour flavor. These are nice fruit bell peppers, botanically, because the seed-bearing part of a fruit, of a plant, the seed-bearing part of a plant is called a fruit, definition. So technically, bell peppers are fruit, and they have this lightness of typically for fruit. Yeah. But the yellow bell pepper has this little sour flavor, yeah, as opposed to the red ones and the green ones. So I have to think about what can I do to make this work in a nice flavor. I tried some recipes with yellow pepper before here now, before I make this now, and I wasn't really convinced. Now I do a very simple version here, adding corn. Yeah, corn is also yellow and gives a earth grounding to the yellow bell pepper here. I showed again a smaller, I admit, smaller yellow bell pepper. You can take a large one too, that doesn't matter. And I have here a small amount of corn. You can cut your corn fresh on the cob, that's best of course. These have been frozen and thawed a little bit. Either way, I cannot use too much corn here. That I found is critical to get a nice smooth texture of the soup. You know, put here the yellow bell pepper first, more or less, yeah, one bell pepper is okay. And a handful or maybe a little bit more, maybe half a cup or maybe 3/4 of a cup of corn. Because when you take too much corn, it is very hard to get it really blended into a creamy, nice texture. That's the only reason. And at the same time, the earth flavor of the corn will balance the sour flavor of the yellow bell pepper. It's a little bit sour. That's not bad, it's delicious, but it is nice to be balanced with the sweet corn. So another sweet balance here is a handful of cashews, half a cup, yeah, to make it really creamy. You don't need that, yeah. You can also leave it and just go with the corn and the bell pepper. Though I want to have a little bit creamier, like in the red bell pepper soup, I used only cashews. Here I add the corn to make it a little bit more, give it a little earth power. Yeah, the red bell pepper doesn't need it. It is by itself very sweet and rich. Yeah, so this is missing in the yellow bell pepper. It's lighter. Yeah, so give a little bit corn. And the yellow color is convincing. I want to call it a yellow bell pepper soup. Yeah, maybe yellow bell pepper corn soup or so. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's yellow. That's the thing. And to make it savory, I put salt into here. A large teaspoon, heaping teaspoon of salt, Himalayan salt, and 1/4 of an onion I begin with. Yeah, 1/4 onion. Usually, when you blend a fresh onion into anything, it gets very hot, can easily get too hot. Yeah. But with the corn, I'm confident that it is not too hot, because corn can take a lot of seasoning, a lot of spices, hot spices even. So to make it hot, I put a little bit of onion, 1/4 of an onion, and a heaping teaspoon of salt. I will blend that now with a little bit of water, not too much water to begin with, because I want to have it not too runny, not too creamy though. But I can add a little bit of water later. We'll see to that. And the more water I put in now, the harder it will be to get the corn creamy. And that's very important for the soup here, as I want it. I want to have a really creamy and smooth soup, where the corn seeds are very firm, the peel is very firm, the skin, so it needs some more blending. I might need a second blending here, not only because of the cashews, but also because of the corn. And so I repeat it again, do not use too much corn because of the texture. Otherwise you have to blend for a long time. Blender dance. Let's have a quick check if it's creamy enough, if it's nicely seasoned. Let's see. It looks very nice. It's a wonderful flavor, the fragrance I mean. I can smell even the bell pepper. This is a slight typical bell pepper flavor, a fragrance that you can, the smell that you can feel here. And that's good. I want to have it, you know, it's a bell pepper soup, so it has to taste and smell like bell pepper, and it does. That's good. Yeah, it's always important to balance the amount of ingredients so that you have the right proportions also in the outcome, the flavor and the fragrance. The color is yellow, of course. And the texture looks very nice. Yeah, it's a runny texture in the same, exactly the runniness I would like to have. But most important is always the flavor, of course. Let's see. Wow. So easy to make wonderful bell pepper soup, yellow pepper soup. Now I taste one more time because now I think about, should I put even more onion in it? I have a small part of the onion put aside. I have only a quarter of the onion. I could add another quarter to make it half onion, but for that I want to taste it one more time to make sure, because you want to have, once you have too much onion or another seasoning in it, you can't reverse it. And then you end up making huge amounts of soup because you want to balance the too much of something. So let's see. One more time. You know what? This goes in. So I have it, that is a half onion then. And a little bit more salt, just a little bit, not too much. Here's my Himalayan salt. This is the container I use. I have a large bag, a larger bag, say here, but for seasoning here in the kitchen, just a small amount, a little bit more. It could be okay as it was, but a little bit more. But I want to give it a little bit more, the last touch, you know, the dot on the I. Let's see. The blender sound also gets a little more even. That is a good sign usually. That means it's done. Yeah, the texture is still the same, nice. It's a nice creaminess of a soup, but again, flavor. There we go. I'm convinced. I show you my soup here. That's the texture I like, which is the creaminess here. Wonderful soup. Here. And what I'm going to do now is I add a little topping, a little garnish, and I have here 2 little containers prepared with a red chili pepper, seeded and cut into small pieces just for a garnish, and an avocado here, nice beautiful avocado, also in small pieces, just for the garnish. Yeah, I will put it on top. You can put it in a little bit more. That's really very nice together with bell pepper and corn. Avocado is beautiful combination. A little bit more. Yeah. If you put it on top a little bit and have small pieces, you have a chance that it actually stands out a little bit on top, so you can see it. Otherwise, it goes down to the bottom, but that's okay. And the same here on top of the avocados, the chili peppers. Show you in a moment. And a special add-on here, I show you. It's the so-called fleur de sel. That means flour of salt. Yeah, they do that in a very specific way. They harvest the salt from the water, where it is in the salt water, and then the salt comes out and builds these crystals that they are like blossoms, so they call it fleur de sel. It's a gourmet salt. I put a little bit on top. They are large salt crystals. They have a very tender salt flavor. They look beautiful, and they're for decoration. You don't mix it in the food. It's too expensive. But a little on top looks very nice, doesn't it? And it's a nice flavor. It's a very nice salt flavor. Once salt has been as expensive as gold. It was very rare, and in parts of Germany or Austria was it, the first salt mills were built, and they made a fortune with it. And it was hundreds and hundreds of years ago. Yeah, now everybody has salt, but it was considered very, very rare, because we cannot live without salt. You know, our body is made to have regular salt intake, because we are mostly water, 60–70% of water, our body. That means there are cells in the body, and the cells have membranes, walls, and to survive we need the water and the substance, the ingredient, the nutrients, to walk in and out of the cells. And that is made possible by the balance of salt. The salt determines how that walking of the nutrients through the cell membranes, how that is regulated. So we need that salt, 6 or 7 grams a day. Without that, you would die. You couldn't do anything. The body would die. So salt is very important, and now we have a lot of salt, but it wasn't always the same. And that's why this is a remnant here, this very special, beautiful fleur de sel. I just have a little bit about a minute. It was a gift from a family, I guess. My family gave it to me. Always give kitchen items to me when they don't know what to give me for present, and I like it. And they care a little bit of me. For me, that's nice. So fleur de sel is just something, yeah, you can add, you don't need to do. That's just a little bit of nice gimmick. Yeah, it's nice, very nice. I love it. It's a little bit special, and little small things are also very nice to keep life interesting and delightful, right? Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy. If you like my video, like it, subscribe, and be vegan on YouTube. Have another recipe every single day, and find me on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and Twitter.